What's good? What's good, family? What is good? Welcome to the greatest podcast on your social media. It's that time again for the Black and the Bold podcast. Listen here, we even got an extra on, but we'll talk about her later. She ain't that important. But here you would hear some thought-provoking, gut-wrenching, sometimes even tear-jerking content that you just can't get enough of. Listen, I'm the Bold. We'll get this thing started right. We're gonna start with my brother, Mr. Black. How you doing this wonderful evening, sir?
I don't even know if I can start with that. Boy, I tell you, it is violence from the get-go. I see now. All right,
I told you
man.
I'm starting with violence. I'm starting
Hold
with
tight,
violence.
Suzette.
Right.
I know you're coming for that. All right. But I am the Black. I am Dwayne Johnson, otherwise known on this show as the Black counterpart here. Graduate from Lowndes County High School, graduated also from Georgia Institute of Technology, otherwise known as Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, with an
Yes,
electrical engineering degree there, and also went over to DC where I did engineering management. Graduated from the University of Maryland with a management degree there in Master's of Science in Management. Came back while all the while investing in real estate here in Valdosta, Georgia. My wife and I, with three beautiful kids, moved everyone down here to be financially independent and retire out early from our corporate jobs, and to the point to where we actually own our own business. Company name is Bridge Builder Education and Investments, where we provide property management services here in the Lowndes County region. Outside of that, I mean, we love being with our family. We are an athletic type family, so this one is going to hit home as far as this conversation we're having that you saw on the title card, if you will, about King Richard, the movie, highlighting Venus Serena Williams' dad, Richard Williams. So we're definitely excited about this. My counterpart being the Black, but the Bold. Tell us about you, and let's kick it off and get to Suzette's comeback from that intro you just gave.
Yes, sir. Good evening, everybody. I am the Bold. Of course, I'm Edward Mack, of course, native of Valdosta, Lowndes High grad over here. Then, of course, I have UCF grad there, healthcare administration and master's in public administration, moved around about. But I am the proud co-founder with me and my son with the E3 Legacy Group, and things are running well. And we actually have a new project we're getting ready to start at the beginning of 2022, which is going to create another leg of the business. So I'm just trying to set up all the cornerstones so we can get this thing rolling just in case things go left. So yeah, I'm excited about everything. Father of two wonderful children, and I'm ready to get started, man. I got a whole lot of violence up under my sleeve, so I'm ready.
It's on you, Suzette.
Well.
She didn't do the fingers, did she?
Hello, my people. I'm gonna have to call on all my queens tonight. I need you. I'm gonna summons all my queens tonight because he out of control tonight. He is out and doing too much. But I am Suzette Michelle. I am a native of Valdosta, Georgia, Georgia GA, or Georgia Peach. I am so excited and ecstatic most of the time to be a part of this Black and Bold platform when I'm not being verbally attacked, you know what I'm saying? But it's been wonderful. I've never had any brothers, and I'm getting a very, very full demonstration of what that feels like. Okay. Yeah, all of that. So I bring you greetings from Valdosta. Like I said, I'm a graduate of Lowndes High, graduate of Valdosta Technical College, where I received my degree in radiologic technology. And one of the accomplishments that I'm proud of 2021, I became a business owner and of Divine Shine, where our motto is "You were created to shine, be the light." So I'm gonna need you to come on, be the light tonight. Be the light tonight, Bo. Don't let the darkness overtake you. But we are so ready. We're ready to get in it. Let's get it. Let's go. Queens, come on. I need y'all to chime in tonight. Follow us. If you have not already, like and subscribe the channel. Go to YouTube, like and subscribe the channel. You can also catch us live on our various platforms. And we are so ready to go. We dropping jewels every time we get on this live. And so I'm so excited. Let's do it.
As the beautiful Suzette has alluded to, we're going to have an entertaining conversation tonight. I think for those that have already jumped on, they've seen the tag and they've seen basically kind of where we're going to go with this. with regards to Black men, specifically Black fathers. But this is something that is going to hit home because I know that we are particularly in Lowndes County, a sports-driven region. And so, with that, I know that a lot of fathers are involved in their kids' sports matriculation and things that they're involved in. So, I think a lot of people that are on with us tonight can relate very well to what Ms. Williams has accomplished or we aspire to accomplish with our kids. So, Bold, any final words as we press forward?
No, my brother, I'm just ready to get started. There's a lot we got to unpack. I think it's a great conversation we're going to have tonight. So I'm ready. I think I can speak from my own perspective, so I think it hits home. So I'm ready to go.
All right. So with that, for those that have not already seen, I think we've already addressed the fact that there's a movie out, King Richard, that came out late November. If you have not seen it, we're going to plug the movie, obviously, for that sake. It's a great movie. Oprah Winfrey said that it was the best movie she had ever seen. All right. And Will Smith was on one of those late night shows. He said, no, correction. Get it right. She said that was the best movie she had seen in her life. So when it gets the Oprah nod and Will wants to make sure that that nod is correctly quoted, I think we have a movie here that's a gem. And so with that, it gained popularity. People have seen it. I think we've seen it here on our platform across the board amongst us three. And so we're coming from a perspective that we're not only, talking about what we thought the movie was about, but we've actually seen it. So with that said, there was a lot of good positive feedback based on what I just said, but there were some comments that were not so pleasurable. And what we want to kind of highlight here just for a little while, but not bring a whole lot of energy behind it, is a few of those comments that were quite surprising. Let me bring up one for an example. All right, as that loads there. So here is a tweet by a doctor. I don't know her ideas, but it was highlighted across social media. Dr. Jessica Taylor. She says, "Did they seriously make a film called King Richard about the success of Serena and Venus Williams? But it's a bad Richard." She also continues there below. She says, like, this has annoyed people, but I genuinely didn't expect a film about two of the most powerful, successful, and amazing Black female athletes to be named after a man or center, I guess, around. I would have loved them and not a man. That's it, really. And then, of course, she's got a follower that says, "That's what I said, but it's a Will Smith movie, so it has to be about Will Smith." So evidently, we have a followership of these particular individuals. By the way, her tweet has 2,000 likes. So evidently, there are at least 2,000 people and more that somewhat align themselves with the surprise. It says King Richard, but it was surprised that the movie was about their dad. And they can't relate to the fact that a dad would be so impactful to the two greatest tennis players to walk the earth. They had a dad that was involved in that process. What are your thoughts, guys, here? Bold, beautiful, what are your thoughts?
I think it's a typical response from people who think on that, from that perspective. I think, well, let me start off. First of all, kudos to Will Smith and the cast for an amazing movie. In my opinion, I probably would speak something very similar to Oprah when it comes to the context of the movie. They actually wanted to paint him in a certain perspective to highlight what he did. And I think they did a great job of really kind of taking us and walking us through the progression of them being little girls all the way up to, the onset of them being champions. And so I love the movie. I've seen it once, and I think I'll definitely watch it again. But when you come to the comments like that, again, for a long time in media, it's seemingly getting much more difficult for men to get praise and praise alone. I think a lot of times when men are successful, someone always has to hurry up and say, well, behind every successful man, there's a successful woman, or whatever they say, because they won't allow a man to be successful alone. They won't allow him to grind on his own. They won't allow him to keep a light or hold a light of praise alone. And this is primarily coming from people who subscribe to that F word, that womanism stuff. And because if you actually kind of look into all of their perspectives, they've tried to do a lot to discredit the man, and almost try to replace him. And so it's to me, I wasn't surprised that it came, especially from Amanda, but I was surprised at the amount of people that actually liked it. And there were also several other supporting comments that pretty much said the same thing, which lets us understand that there is a certain percentage, there's a certain demographic of our society that pretty much does not want to see men really excel, or for men to get the limelight alone. And that's a problem, because for many of the times, a lot of times, all we see is, when it comes to the women, go out and be independent and do your own thing, and get your bag, and everything is about her. But when a man comes out and does something about him, then it's all of a sudden, well, you're excluding us, and you didn't include her, and it's just like, it's disingenuous to me. So I wasn't surprised. Kudos to them for making a great movie, but I think their argument is dead in the water, and I think it really puts a target on anybody's back that has something to say about the girls, and not about the father. If it had not been for the father, I think I could venture to say we wouldn't know Venus and Serena in the light that we do. So that's my opinion.
So just to give a little context to what Brother Bold just said, there is, trying to share the screen here, there is a comment that we're going to get into also that was given by Amanda Seales. That's really the more so the one that hit the social media forums out there, where she made a tweet. This is 4 months ago, by the way, 3 or 4 months ago, where she said Will Smith and Richard Williams, with an infinite question mark there. Also, why is this film about Richard Williams? Like, those two factors are a problem. That Will Smith is playing Richard Williams. By the way, Will Smith is one of the best actors out there, one of the best draw for the theater world out there.
Mhm.
He is one of the most genuine people that you probably can ever meet. If you look and follow some of his documentaries, the way that he coaches and speaks to people, he has really a very unique platform that he serves.
Yeah.
Also, then, so why is this about Richard Williams? I think that's kind of where we are here. With that said, beautiful. What are your comments there? You're on mute, by the way.
Gotcha. First of all, let it be known that I think that the movie was excellent. Of course, I think Will Smith, as he does with all the movies, he really, embodies the character and makes you, a part of the actual plot of the movie. And so he really put his emotions to it. We got a chance to see, kind of how it felt in real life, how he trained the young lady. So the movie was excellent, really. I personally do not share the criticism that's going around as to why was the movie made about him, only because I knew growing up in the South, I kind of knew some of the struggles that he might have had to overcome to get Venus and Serena where they are. And then to actually see that he had to endure some obstacles that even I didn't imagine someone would have to do to train their kids to be an athlete. Sometimes just being a parent without the struggles of being a protector, you know what I'm saying, or being so deemed so strict, he really, it was phenomenal. He was phenomenal. I think that a lot of people are trying to look at some of his past indiscretions and really kind of dull down the light that he had in that moment. And we talked about that in our briefing. The movie is not about per se his life story. It's about that moment in time. So with that being said, I think it was an excellent movie. I think it should have been about him, because of the sacrifices he made in order to put them in a position and an environment and a place that was conducive for them to become who they are today. That was all him.
Absolutely. You said some points there that make me follow that up. With regard to the protection, when you see the movie, there's a lot of protection factor that goes beyond typical father responsibility that he provided. When you talk about the scenarios that he put himself in, moving to Compton, which a lot, I've watched a lot of videos at this point wrapped around the movie and the real life testimonies, but he intentionally moved them to Compton to basically, for them to be able to see a different side of Black society and life. And it was to really toughen them up. So it's actually, just all inspiring that he actually had this vision already, whether it was written down as he's portrayed as, but it was just how he scripted their life. And so he picked up and moved them along forward to Compton for that. But he acted in a way that was a shield for them. And so when you think about it, when you look at some of the stories and what's highlighted in the movie, where he basically took the beatings, he did that so that they didn't have to get involved with the society of the gangs and everything that would be challenging them along the way. Because if he wasn't there, the gang members, as they did with the Tande, they would have challenged them while they were on the court. They would have approached them, but he took those beatings as a father. And that's really the epitome of what being a father would be like if you're not a father. And in any father that exists, especially with daughters, I mean, you just ideally go to bat for anything that your daughter is experiencing. And so that's one aspect of it. The other is that when we're looking at Richard Williams and the role that he plays as a coach to his daughters, that's very commendable because he never played tennis before. And so, one of the interviews that I listened to with Will Smith at the Red Table Takeover, the one that Jada hosts, but he mentioned their the daughters and his wife are on the show, and the wife, based on the question that Will asked, was, how did you just get on board when your husband says we need to have two more kids so that we can produce tennis stars? And so, how do you go into that vision, without any doubt? And she says that he made me a believer when he taught me how to play tennis. So it's a very rare and unique scenario because the mother is a strong mother that was displayed in the movie, but she was strong yet submissive. And I think that's a lot of why this movie gets a somewhat flat, because it's portraying the Black man in a perspective that we on this show and some of our listeners are not unfamiliar with. Bold and I know, for instance, we were raised in the sense of the mentoring that he received from my dad, and me being raised by him, was that it's a strict life learning type of upbringing, to where everything is a challenge, everything is a test, everything is a lesson learned. So that's what you saw in this movie, was that there was no non-purpose filled activity. Even when he, in the case of the movie, sat them down to watch Cinderella, there was a lesson that they should have gotten out of that. One of the things that struck me most, my wife and I, was when they had the social worker and the police show up because of a tip from a neighbor. That scene alone was just ones that were, I mean, you wish something would call some police on you because you're practicing your kids, in their case, too much. But what are your kids doing? And so that's one of the things to where we as fathers need to see it's okay to help to be in a health and helpful way, challenge our kids, push our kids. And at the same time, they weren't just athletes. They were star academia in the classroom. So those are the areas that I definitely got out of the movie, so much that, like Bo mentioned, I watched it one time in the room with my wife, and then I was like, our daughter and our son have to see this, because you see also that you're not in a bubble, whether you're the father or the mother and father, or even like for our kids, we train our kids, day in and day out, so to speak. But obviously, Richard Williams is a unique case. But the kids can see abroad that you're not living in a bubble. There are people that go through the same tests and trials and training that these goats, greatest of all time, have gone through, and it provides a comfort level in that we are doing something right.
Well, that goes. I think that. Well, okay, I know she was talking, but I think that goes. That kind of talks right into asking the question of why fathers are actually important. What's the importance of the father in the child's life? Um, but before we even dig into that, I didn't even think about the portrayal of the woman being in a. I'm not even going to use submission. I'm going to use cooperation. Submission is a, I mean, anytime you get a buzzword, you won't even get past the conversation. So I'm
That's
not
when
going
the
to,
ears perk up, huh?
yeah, I'm not going to use submission. I'm just going to say that she was more cooperative, and she was willing to go with the flow and understood that it was a team thing. It was a family thing, and not just what she wanted or not just what they wanted. But the very fact that she stood in line, like you said, with the whole, or the whole dream or the whole aspiration of what he wanted for his family, which is what should be. The man should always have an agenda for his family. If he's going to lead, he's got to lead them somewhere. So he was actually, painted in a depiction where he kind of gave a lot of the men the blueprint of how fathers should be. You should be about the business of your family, and that's making sure that we're raising up individuals, not only that can be successful citizens, but also can be successful in their gifts or talents, and actually do very well. And I think it was because it wasn't the fact that he knew they were athletic children. He just wanted to find something to give them to do that wasn't the normal thing. It wasn't the hopscotch. Everybody do that in the hood. In LA, they actually have teams where they travel, and that was big during the time when they were young. That was about the time we were coming up. Of course, gang violence was crazy, but the very fact that he held a high standard for his children is I think that was also problematic because in most movies, and even those that's from Tyler Perry or from John Singleton or from Spike Lee. A lot of times, the black man isn't painted in such a light of power and ability to kind of steer the ship the way he was or the way he did. So I can definitely appreciate that for sure. But I think it does also speak to the question of why are men important? Because in the last 20 years, it has been made to seem in the mainstream that men are not important. From the music, from the movies, from advertising. There's a lot that goes on where it seems as if men are not as important when we actually built the world we live in. We're as comfortable as we are because of the men that went to war, because of the men that built the homes, because of the men that paved the roads. But yet, the same men that actually laid the substratum of our entire society are told you're not important. And so I think that also was not painted in this picture. And because it wasn't, I think they were mad and then they had to throw something on top of it, to kind of give it a negative light when in fact it didn't deserve that. That's just me, from that perspective. But we're going to
Let's
get into that.
let's entertain. I like what Dr. Bess actually says. Family here. She says, "How or asks, how would you compare Richard Williams to Joe Jackson?" And I like that question
Yeah.
because both fathers produced superstar. But I think the difference in that parallel is that Richard
The method.
Williams, the way that I didn't follow Richard Williams before this, but a couple of things stand out is that in the film you see that he was very
Are you lock up on us? I think it might have. Okay, he's
all
coming
right.
back.
Okay, am I back? Okay, excuse me. Am I back there?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. I noticed that it dropped out. But the difference between Richard Williams and Joe Jackson, I would offer, is that you saw in the film depiction that he was very playful with his kids. He was very sympathetic to them, and if there was any frustration, where you saw where the climax of his frustration with one of the gang members was that he took out that frustration on where it was supposed to go, on them.
Yeah.
Versus Joe Jackson, he actually took a lot of frustration out on his kids. And I would just say, offer that he was one of those that fell to the victim of trying to live through the success of his kids and to get that perfect. And I think those two parallels are a great question, Dr. Best, because all of us need to challenge ourselves. Are we being more Joe Jackson-ish, or are we being more like Richard Williams in the way that we're developing our kids? Because a lot of us, I see it all the time at the football field, the little league fields, where we're pushing our kids to go out only because it makes us look better. We're living through them because we didn't get but so far in football, so we want to make sure that our kids are in football, and we want to push them to be the best out there when we don't even know if that's their true love and whether they really are football athletes. The other factor that I want to highlight there, and I'll end on this point, is that one of the things that let me get to where the video is. One of the things that one of the things that was highlighted in the video that was a parallel to the actual interview of Venus Williams at age 14 that they did showcase in the movie was one of those things to where Richard Williams was a flat out protector of his daughter. And again, going back to that frustration, the frustration was geared towards those that did not see the plan and wanted to disrupt what was going on. So what I want to do here is share with you that little clip, which is about 48 seconds long. But for those that are familiar with it, you'll see exactly what I'm referring to.
You think you can beat it? I know I can beat it. No. Very confident. Very confident. You say it so easy. Why? Because I'm running away. What she said. She said so confident first. But you want to. We can't interrupt him. If you want, you better understand the image of your child. And this child will be able to defend your whole ass and you go get it great. But she said something. We done told you what's happening. You do a little black kid. And then you get your answer.
A couple of things there that you'll notice. And listening to the Will Smith, the Red Table podcast with Will Smith as a guest with Serena Williams, Venus, and the mother, he actually referred to this scene. And this scene was, if you look up the videos, there's a video on YouTube that compares the movie version of this and the actual interview, and they're almost in sync. The way that, again, why Will Smith? Why does this have to be a Will Smith production? Because he's one of the best. That's why. And you'll see how it parallels. But anyway, there's a point where he asked asked Venus, I noticed in the real interview, you'll see she actually just starts doing, you're fiddling with her nails or something, because she's like, and there's like a little smile or a smirk on her face. And he was like, I noticed you were smiling. and Venus was like, because I knew what was about to happen. She knew. Yeah. And Will says that what I learned in this method acting and following your dad and all of that was that he was lying. And the difference between the fact that I grew up with a lion, and then personally, Dwayne Johnson, I grew up with a lion, and so one of the things is that we as fathers have to be careful, because this is what Will Smith said, is that although I grew up with a lion, that lion sometimes bit me too. And so what he said that I see in your relationship with your father is that lion always was a protector for you and went after other people. And so that's one of the things that was very much, unique in this particular portrayal. It really showcased how much of a great man that Richard Williams is and was for them growing up.
Mm-hmm. So what I would like to chime in and say on that before we move on to a different subject, talking about having a lion as a parent and a father figure. It comes to nurture versus nature. So as a lion, what I'm saying, it's in your nature to do lionly things, what I'm saying, be that protector, have that aggression, what I'm saying, be that bold, strong image. But like they said, he was able to control it and direct it and put it in the right place. And then also was strong enough to invoke the nurture part of it as well. He was able to nurture the girls. And so while she was fiddling with her fingers, she was sitting in that confident area, knowing that, hey, I'm protected at all times because this lion is going to do what he always has done for us, which is protected us. And so I can just rest in this nurture factor that I have here. And I thought that was so beautiful to see, because so many times, men are kind of, from their peers and from other family members, they're kind of groomed to be this tough guy. But at the same time, they need to know that you also need to have a nurturing side of you, that nurturing side is where the teacher dwells. That nurturing side is where, I'm saying, the child or the mentor, the mentee is starting to learn the lessons. That's the bridge. You know what I'm saying? Once you show that aggression side, you got to have a nurturing teaching side, and that's the bridge to actually comprehension, for the message that you're trying to get across. You can have a wonderful message, but how do you deliver it? And I think that's what happens sometimes. But for as the criticism of the portrayal of our Black men, we have to realize we live in a country where our Black men they don't have a sense of redemption. You know what I'm saying? Some of the people are giving Richard Williams a kickback because of some of his previous relationships that went south. Well, can people grow? You know what I'm saying? Can people redeem themselves? We live in a country where it's unforgiving. We're in the cancel culture now. So people, we live in a country where people can't redeem themselves. People can't grow. People can't be better. I personally do not agree. I tell Bold that. I've told him that prior to the show. I do not agree with all this criticism and this negative light towards this movie. I think it was an excellent movie, and I commend him and men who choose, because of this movie, to kind of move differently after this and parent differently after this. And those are the things that we were trying to address, even ourselves on this platform with the blueprint. We got to move different. Yes, we may not have done it exactly right in the past, but hey, it's a new day. We got to move different.
I think that's the right segue that we can get into right there, because it's broader than the movie. It's about us. And Bold, I see you got your finger raised, ready to go off.
Let's go ahead and move his church finger up.
Yeah, I don't want to interrupt you with any noise or anything, but I just wanted to speak to that really quickly, because my view of Richard and Joe is a little different from you all's. I see Richard and Joe at different levels on the same, as a different note on the same piano.
Gotcha.
Because although Joe Jackson has a very violent,
aggressive,
yeah, violent and
abusive.
There you go. A very abusive reputation. A very abusive reputation. He actually still got results. And so I look at it as if Joe may be needed at some time, at some point. I don't think we need Joe every day in and out of the process. I think Joe is necessary at certain points. But I also think Richard is necessary at certain points. But I the way I look at it when I compare the two, I think that the both of them are very valuable. I just think that it just depends upon what arena they're utilized in.
Yeah. Are you talking in the sense of being able to relate very well to, as we would relate to football,
Yes.
perhaps?
Yeah. Yes.
All right. And then the other thing I would ask also is that, do you feel that way also because Joe was dealing with boys, Richard was dealing with girls?
Yeah, I was about to say that.
No, Joe had girls. Joe was training girls as well.
Yeah, but Joe wasn't
We understand.
near as abusive to those girls as he was to those boys. He was abusive to them, but he was nowhere near as bad as he was on those boys.
Well, ask Latoya. Latoya shares a different story.
Well, girls are always going to say that, you know. And I don't I haven't spanked my daughter in I don't know how long, but let me look her a certain way or let me pop her on her arm or something, and it's like the worst thing in the world. She crying and tearing up. Sometimes I can raise my voice, but she over there shaking in the corner. So I mean, I'm not downplaying her testimony.
We can stay in the generalization of the point. You're right, though, is that generally speaking, fathers are a bit more aggressive as necessary with boys. And I think, like you said, is that we do need that lion mentality with a young cub, that you've got to opt a certain realm with them, that they can, that energy is necessary for them to get it. Versus with the female, they need more, as you said, you know, with that nurturing piece, but they need to see a protector involved. And so it's a balance between the two. There's a protection necessary for the boy, but there's a bit different energy along with that. And again, speaking, Bold, the same way, speaking from the perspective of a father with a boy and a girl, you know, the energy is definitely different. But I think to your point, Suzette, is that we have to also check the levels that it's not in the red. You know, as like you said, there's an important piece, Bo, with the Joe Jackson mentality, but we got to just make sure that we're not in that red area from a parent perspective.
Exactly. And I think if we kind of work in a healthy balance, depending upon who we're dealing with, I think that's when we can get the maximization of results out of our children or whatever we're doing. Because every motive of motivation is not a pat on the back. Hey, you're doing great. Everything's well. You need a towel. Need some cold water. No, sometimes you need somebody to come and grab a fistful of your shirt and lift you five inches off the ground and look you face to face and say, "Look here." And so I think we're going to have to begin to accept the fact that we need a balanced approach when it comes to men leading. And so, Dr. Bass, thank you for that. Thank you for that question, because it really allowed us to see it from
Now,
another
one of the common strings that I appreciate from Joe Jackson as well as Richard Williams is the fact that they establish a structure and a pattern with their kids. And I think that's missing in our community. You know, so many times kids don't have a structure or a pattern. Even though kids gonna be kids, they're gonna give you kickback when it comes to structure and being on a schedule and all of this. But as a parent, it is our obligation to provide that, you know, foundation and that structure and a safe place for them to, number one, be kids, and then an environment so that they can reach their highest potential. You know what I'm saying? So I love that component of it, that structure that they provided. And a lot of times we live in a society where we as African Americans are adapting the parenting style of, well, let the kid decide what they want to do, or let the kid, you know, determine. And my whole stance on that is, if you're going to let your child decide, make decisions, what do they need parental guidance for if you're not there to guide, you know? So to me, that's always been a strange method of parenting. I'm not downplaying it. I just think that it wouldn't yield high results. It may or may not. But I just really like the fact that he provided structure. I mean, even back in Serena's, when he was raising them, he censored their TV, which is he did not let them watch TV. And if they did watch TV, it was only educational programs. And after that program, he was quizzing them like, what did you learn? You know what I'm saying? What did you gather from this? And I love that component of him. You know, we have to always use every single moment we have as a teaching moment to prepare them for when they make that transition over to adulthood. They will be well prepared.
Yeah, that's very key component that you said there. You know, Dr. Bess continues. She says, as an educator, structure is definitely missing in the raising of kids today. Fully agree with that. You know, just like you described, Suzette, is that there has to be purpose in your parenting practices. And, you know, we're not perfect, but I try to employ some of that you just actually talked about, is that, you know, I'm not around the clock on it, but when I'm looking out and peeping out, even like right now, peeping out to see what they're doing, it's more so like, what is the purpose of what you're watching? Did you get anything out of it? My wife's the same way. She's like, can you tell me why you like this that you're watching? If you can't articulate that, then I'm going to choose for you. And the same thing with like our 5-year-old. I mean, and this is kind of where I want this conversation to go, is that this is beyond movie. This is, like you said, now when parents see this movie, which is why, again, it's the obvious question or the obvious answer, when somebody asks, well, why is this made about Richard Williams? Well, to us, it's a no-brainer, because this is what I'm finally applauding to see on the silver screen, is that someone that looks like me and parenting like me, and it's okay. It can produce people who are successful. And the naysayers, they don't get the fact that the standing quota right now, as far as us not being involved like this, whether it's a Joe Jackson mentality or Richard Williams mentality or an Edward or Dwayne mentality, if we are not involved in this capacity, are just like Dr. Best talked about, this is what's missing, and our kids are going to backslide. So we've got to be an integral part of the coaching of our kids. And one segue I was making there before I digress with there is that even with our 5-year-old, like you said, Suzette, a lot of parents are like, I let my children make the choice and all that. And that's in its own realm and place here and there. We should give them, I say, the illusion of choice. I mean, I'm going to pick 2 things that I want you to do, and you can choose. And so that is a parenting skill that we employ also, and that is not new, but that is a parenting skill. And so the point is that when our son is watching something like, or wants to watch something, we're picking something like Sesame Street or, whatever a different show is, you pick. I've already concluded that that's what I want you to watch, one of those 2. But if we leave the remote in this child's hand, there's no telling what they're going to get exposed to. And that's the problem. We're allowing our kids to get exposed to a lot, and we're not training them in a way that fills their time with productive activity.
Well, how do you feel? We'll go back to that foundational statement about, as an educator, structure is definitely missing in the raising of kids today. If we take that and then we apply that statement to the actual statistics, 80% of our children are in single parent homes, and that, primarily that's, single mothers, but there are some single fathers out there. I think it really highlights our inability to co-parent, our inability to be adults, when it comes to our children, because I think the fact that so many of our families are broken, it kind of allows those missing pieces to kind of go untouched or unaddressed. And I think it just spills over to everything. It spills over into our spending. It spills over into our citizenship. It spills over in the way that we buy, in the way that we do business. And there are certain things that we have to kind of go back and unlearn and relearn just to be productive in relationships of our own, especially as a child when they grow up in dysfunction like that. So I think the onus goes back on the parents of being able to create an environment just like he did, just like the mother did. Although they had their issue from time to time throughout the movie, they still kept the main thing, and that was making sure that their children were first on the list when it came to priorities. I don't see that now. I don't see a lot of that now. Put it like that. For example, my son has several friends, here in the city. They could just kind of go and, just kind of do what they want to do. Don't really check in. Don't really, and it really speaks to, I don't know what goes on in their house, but I know having a young black male son, I wouldn't want him just gallivanting all over the city. When you've got vigilante individuals that are willing to do some harm to him just because. So I just think it goes back to our inability to parent properly, the lack of the desire to hold our children accountable. Because to be a father like that doesn't put you in, a great light with your children. You could be looked at as a dictator. You could be looked at as controlling or whatever. Or, here's another buzzword. You can look at as toxic, or your toxic masculinity and all that other foolishness. But the very fact is, you can't deny, because they had order in the house, it spilled over into everything else that they did. And I think that should be a wake-up call for us, because I think they painted the picture of what it looks like to have a man leading. But I don't know. I don't know. Now, I have another question I could ask that could really take us down a rabbit hole. I don't think our community is ready as a whole for a man to lead in that capacity. But I'm glad that they actually put it out that it is possible. So, yeah, that's just my thoughts on that.
Well, I don't think that our community is ready for men to lead as a whole, because there is some lack of training when it comes for fathers. A lot of these parents, we went through an era, and I think we're doubling back on that area where children are raising children. So you can't be a good father when you never was groomed and taught how to be one. So that's one of the issues that we.
I don't agree with that, but go ahead.
That's one of the. I think that's one of the issues that we face, which is why I do not criticize this movie, because now we have a widely national movie that gives us a role model of what it looks like. You know what I'm saying? What it looks like. So so often our young men don't have a good role model of what being a good father is and what it should be.
I think I would want to, hearing your proposal there, I would definitely, as I flash back through, experiences and just looking forward with the opportunities that are in front of us. I think I'm with Bold that I would have to disagree with that. That, like, you look at even Richard Williams' father, and when I say that, it's not like I've done a deep dive research on this, but basically, if you look at what he portrayed in the movie with regard to his reflection of his father, for those that, spoiler alert, didn't realize that he reflects onto Venus in the movie, that the reason that he is so much involved is because when he grew up, and in a reality sense of the environment in the Jim Crow era, to where he needed his father because he was getting basically beat up by some grown men. His father fled, and he was like, I will never do that to my kids again. So sometimes when you have that type of father that isn't perfect or not there, that promotes you to be what you didn't have. And so it's the same thing with that famous episode, going back to Will Smith, great acting. Going back to Will Smith, back on that famous episode of The Fresh Prince, when his biological father came back and then but basically left the city without him. And you have that scene where he's crying with Uncle Phil, why doesn't my father want me? And so the point is that he's like, I would never do this. I'm going to teach my son how to do this. I'm going to do this, blah, blah. It promotes you to be something that you never saw. And even when you don't have it, I think, nowadays it's a whole lot of reason why, you should be able to do, if you want it bad enough, that there are all kinds of resources out there, even if it's video at this point. If you want to be a good father, Google how to be a good father. If you want to see that, Google it and YouTube it. I mean, it's so many things that will give you ideas. There are some things that, I grew up experiencing that I wanted to change here with our parenting system. And so being a part of different parenting programs, I was able to see, okay, there are different tools. So maybe I don't have to do the things that, were upon my dad as far as a toolkit that was limited, but effective, but at the same time, that's not something that we employ now, because there are different tools that I've been now introduced to where you can get the same effect across with our kids. And so that's the only reason I would disagree with that, but in a loving way disagree, because it's just sometimes we own our own destiny. Is that if you want to do better and be a better father, sometimes that's through motivation of what you didn't have, and then also some of the tool sets that are out there. We just have to research and find them.
Yeah, I think the fact that he had transparency, I think that's what worked for him. I think that's one thing I pulled out of that. I pulled out of that scene was the fact that when you talk about both of y'all's perspectives, and I see where you're coming from. But again, like I said, I kind of leaned the other way, because when I saw that, it reminded me of some things that, like Black said, that I experienced as a child when my biological father wasn't around a lot, and I had to then glean from other men around me who were not perfect, but they were giving me the tools that I needed for me to make it through. But the very fact that he was able to be transparent, I think she was able to accept that on a whole new level because he was vulnerable. He was vulnerable in his leadership. I think that's one thing that's missing with when we talk about fathers leading. A lot of times we do a lot of do as I say and not as I do, and a lot of times we end up kind of misleading our children. And the fact that he was able to confront uh, issues that he had with fathering with his child to explain his disposition, I think that was a pivotal point in her being able to really grasp the fact that no, he really ain't trying to hurt me. He's actually trying to help me, and he's building it while he's flying it,
Yeah.
which means he's confessing that I ain't perfect, but I got to fly the plane. But I need to, I'm just letting you know I'm learning while I'm flying, so I might make some. I think if we start taking, I do that a lot of that now, because I just don't, I grew up with around a lot of grown folk that didn't necessarily admit when they were wrong. They would kind of say, certain things, but we all know that. A lot of our elders didn't always just come out and say, well, I made a mistake, I was wrong. Now a lot of times they're gonna hold on to that title they have, just because. So I mean, I think the fact that he was able to be vulnerable really, really, really set a blueprint for a lot of men out there when it comes to raising your children. That's how I do my son, definitely my daughter, because I want to be vulnerable, but I don't want to be. I'm not weak. I'm just vulnerable. I'm just letting you know where I am, and I think that was powerful in the movie. So I just want to highlight that really quick.
I definitely think this movie should serve as a guide, a role model for potential parents or either parents who are in the thick of it and just want to be better, like you said, build as you fly. So yeah, definitely I agree with it, but at the same time there has to be a want to or a will component of it. You can only be as good a parent as you desire to be. So yeah, I mean, you can Google the information is out there for you, but are you going to apply it? Is it going to be applicable to your life? That's the thing. Yeah, I might know what to do, but am I doing it? That's two different things. So we have to, if we're going to make a change, and we're talking about making a change and creating generational wealth, you have to apply the knowledge that you gain. Otherwise, you know what I'm saying, we're just spinning wheels here. We're just spinning wheels.
Yeah. I want to bring up, as we kind of, I like where, it's getting some legs here because we now have Brother Calvin Barron chime in. And this is what we talked about in pre-show here. We discussed this factor of it. Calvin Barron says, in real life, didn't he have 10 other kids that he did nothing for? Just asking. And so this is the aspect that we're talking about from the title part is why black men like this are criticized. And so what we have to glean from this is the fact that no one's perfect. I'll give you an example. A lot of people say, hey, Dwayne, what y'all doing with your kids? Y'all are just a star couple and all this. We make mistakes too. And I've got a child that, isn't one of the three that you hear about all the time. And my dad, not to put any business out there, but a lot of times they say, Coach J, he was like a second father to me, blah, blah, blah. Coach J wasn't perfect either. And like I said, not putting business out there, but there's some stuff that from all of us, there's always something you will find that isn't like, didn't he have this, that, and other, or didn't, blah, blah. The people that know that can speculate that or know the real story.
Right.
So it's always but didn't he, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But I think, to your point, Brother Barron, is that yes, he did have other kids I think he was married 3 times that we just looked up. But what we're trying to do here through what Will Smith and the production of this movie is trying to do is highlight what worked, obviously, for Venus and Serena. All right. So what we're trying to do is say, hey, just like you call it Joe Jackson story, right? What was it? The American Dream, whatever it was, the life story, whatever they had. And so, there's always a story that depicts the good and everything, and slightly gives you some little insight to the faults and the narrative that isn't so pleasurable. But that always is something that you could dig into. And in this case, you did have outside kids, but we don't know really what that story was about, other than, like we talked about, there is news of the died child that is making a big fuss right now, because the movie is highlighting the father in this positive light. Even to say that, that sounds like counterintuitive to the fact that you should be celebrating your father. I don't care if it's a I can't even equate with that.
You
You know,
you
my
can't
dad
not
has made
comprehend. Yeah,
mistakes,
you can't.
and I still would not say, let me tear him down because they're making a movie of him.
Right.
I mean, I can equate to this in so many ways that, you know, my dad had the track named after him. That's like me not showing up and saying, but you know, how dare I, you know, as a kid. So we have to
Well,
be careful
you
with
can't. You
some
can't.
of these
We have to be
narratives.
careful. You have to be careful. You can't comprehend that, and we have to, realize. Well, by definition of an outside child would be something outside of a marriage. This particular person, Richard Williams was married to her mother, so they were actually a legitimate family that he left.
Absolutely.
But the thing is,
But we don't know why, by the way.
no, we don't know why.
You know, it's a very broken timeline of story there.
Exactly. But to the bigger picture, Brother Barry, so many times when someone in our community is celebrated, immediately we go to dig up some dirt. And so that is what we're highlighting tonight. The fact that, can we just not celebrate the man and his accomplishments and his evolution from, maybe he was a bad father, maybe he was a bad husband, but now he's evolved to something else, and he chose to bring his children along on that journey of evolution. So, if every single person on this earth, if you dig and go back further enough, you're going to get some dirt, because there is nobody's perfect on this earth. But at what point did you make that turning point? You know what I'm saying? That's what we're talking about, the redemption of people and the evolution of people in your life. You know what I'm saying? When are you going to hold yourself to a higher standard? And that's the crossroad that we all have to come to. Like, of course we made mistakes in our life, but are you going to continue to make those mistakes? And then once I have redeemed myself and made a commitment to be a better person, are you still going to bring up all that stuff in the past, or are you going to let me actually be the person that I am now, or that I'm trying to be? So that's the question.
I want to ask the question. You all made some amazing points, and I agree with all of you. I just want to ask a couple of questions. Is, can a man ever redeem himself? And the second question I have to ask, these are just hypothetical questions. Can a man be? Why is it that we allow Superman to have kryptonite, but not a black man to have a past?
Ooh, I heard all kinds of thuds hit the ground when you said that, buddy. I'll wait. I'll wait. I'm gonna be like Venus. I'm gonna be like Venus and just be like, okay.
I mean, just think about it. I mean, I just don't think it's ever fair. I don't think that. I don't think it's ever given the same energy when it comes to this. Okay, let's just hold it right on Mr. Richard. I won't even add anything else to it, because I see Suzette's face, so I'm just gonna hold it right on Richard.
Right.
The fact that this man didn't have a lot of education, came from a Jim Crow South, actually grew up during slavery and all that other stuff, so he overcame a lot, made some mistakes. I'm not even going to really call them mistakes. I mean, he was just, maybe it was the fact he didn't know. Sometimes we do. Sometimes we make decisions just out of our ignorance. So, I mean, whatever it might be. He had some unsavory results come out of some of the decisions he made, that may have made him look like he was, kind of a loose cannon in a way. But the very fact that he came to himself, married the woman, and actually, if I'm correct, she had children when he met her. I don't think he fathered all of her kids. Just given some of the comments he made in the movie. But the fact that the man, while he was in that house, he was almost perfect. Almost. From what I saw. Now, I know it was a movie, and I know he might have had some ups and downs, but according to all the evidence they gave in that movie, this man was just about perfect. He was home. He spent all the time with his children. He all day long, then he would work all night. Like, he was doing the thing. He wasn't rich, but he was able to be counted on. He was present. he was active, he was devoted, he was passionate, and yet, after all of that, we talked about it kind of briefly, how some of the previous children are salty about it because they want to tell their side of the story. Well, y'all ain't tennis champions. Huh?
I want to validate everything that you just said by this strongest point, and some of this is to the reflection of some of the off color critique that has been given. But the thing that people have to realize is that Venus and Serena, the powerhouses that they are, you forget, not you on this channel, but people forget they co-executive produced the movie. They had actually assigned their other sister to actually be the one on site of the production to make sure the story was being told as accurate as possible. So everything that you're saying, Bold, is to the fullest. This wasn't just a biopic that, oh, you know, I'm gonna get Chadwick Boseman to play James Brown, and yeah, he did a good job. You know, the family thing. Oh, I just love and he did do a good job. But I'm just saying that this was like extra under microscope. The family was there on set every day, and Venus and Serena in the actual interview with Will Smith, they were joking because Venus and Serena wasn't necessarily just, they didn't just jump on board. What they did was they wanted to see the movie first before they said we would co-produce it. So they saw what they saw, they okayed it, and then they put their stamp on it. So it had to be accurate.
But the accuracy is still a problem. And
exactly.
That's a problem. Because you look at it, I just saw the comment. Jessica said they didn't hide the fact that he had other kids in the movie, but overall, this is a female speaking. She said he spoke life into his children. Did y'all see that? He spoke life into his children with 10 other kids. And some of those that he spoke life into wasn't even his. So it makes me believe that whatever trope you're trying to paint about the man might not even be true because he took in kids that wasn't his and then treated them all the same. Uh-oh. I think I heard some more thumps on that one too. I ain't trying to say the man was an angel. Please don't.
No, I know, but
I'm just saying it might not be as bad as the other sister trying to complain about. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, you know, I don't want to desensitize and minimize her experience because it might have been as bad as she explained it. But the beauty of his story that he shared with the world is the fact that redemption and second chances, and possibly in his case, a third chances, you know, sometimes people really make up in their minds and their hearts, like, this time around, I'm going to get it right. I'm going to do it right. You know, and that may have been his situation. But, you know, she needs to heal. That, you know, we talked about mental illness, you know what I'm saying? She needs to heal from that moment. And maybe she doesn't have closure in that moment. And so she usually should have used this opportunity to get that, you know, or try to pursue that or get that, you know.
Oh yeah, she might be a bandwagoner. Yeah, you might be right.
She might. I mean, you know, there's a lot of
I didn't even know her name until the movie came out.
Right.
All of a sudden now we see articles talking about how she's critiquing the movie. He wasn't all that, and I don't even see why y'all made a movie about disappointed in Will Smith even portraying my father.
Yeah. They just disappointed because
I mean, and you know what I'm saying? That is a message within itself. Like, you know, bad things happen to us all, but, you know, are you going to stay stuck in that moment of time? Are you going to try to tackle it, heal from it, address it, whatever you need to do to get past it? You know, that's just how life, sometimes we don't always get dealt a good hand, but you got to play the cards that were dealt to you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, you know, use this opportunity if you want to move past that. Personally, she needs to move past that moment if she can. You know, if there's an opportunity for her to do that instead of bashing him, you know, and the successes of her sisters. So
you should have tried out for tennis. Hey, just saying.
Just
I mean,
saying.
everybody has. I guess where I kind of imagine myself going with that is that every child has their strengths, and so while all of the Williams kids, if you will, I'm saying Williams kids, but all of them weren't tennis players. Obviously, I think the sisters even said that the older kids were actually being conditioned to be tennis players also, but it was Venus and Serena that obviously peaked out, if you will.
Yeah.
And so the others would actually just tag along to help out, whether it's gathering balls like it was depicted in the movie, or just basically be cheerleaders, as you saw them writing posters and everything during the practices, which I think is genius. I might even use that. But just these mantras to help them, be motivated and positively encouraged.
And
But everybody doesn't have a role to be the star in the family, as Tito. All right. And so this is Tito right here saying, this is Tito and everybody else, Jackie saying he abandoned us. And so the point, I mean, but you can't. It's just even that is comical. You're mad at the dad because Venus and Serena made it, and they're making a movie about your dad. I still can't get over that. I mean,
we have to
obviously pain there.
Jealousy is a real thing. Jealousy.
It is, and like you said, it comes from a place of pain.
Right. And just because siblings don't make brotherly love magically happens. You know what I'm saying? We have to work at relationships. We have to work at our mental health. That's something that we have to work at. If you value that.
The thing that they talked about as a family on that podcast was that they genuinely like to see all of them succeed. They like that, like they were in the movie. They're playful and everything. They're like that in reality, talking about all of the sisters there. And so evidently this other one missed out. And so, like you said, there's a jealousy factor there. And another point of where in continuation of what I was alluding to was that sister that we're talking about, the salty one, she unfortunately should have found what she was good at. And unfortunately, evidently, she didn't have a father figure to help, or mother. In that case, I think she's passed away. But so there obviously is a void there, unfortunately. And I think that's a lot of what we're seeing come out of that. So I wouldn't put a whole lot of fire underneath the other kids and all that, because all kids need to have a support system, but find what they're good at.
Yeah. You know what? You made me think about something, a different perspective on Richard with his previous children, previous relationships, marriages, or whatever, compared to his last marriage. Is it possible that although he was married twice previously, is it very possible that he could have learned a lot of lessons out of having two divorces, which then created the Richard that we saw? Maybe
been there, done that. You're absolutely right.
Maybe the fact that he saw, how he didn't have direction for his family for his first wife and his second wife, and he may have went back to the drawing board and said, you know what, next time I get married, I'm going to have a plan written out, point blank, in the movie.
We don't know
start to finish.
As Melanie alluded to down in the chat also, there are always two sides to the story.
Yeah.
So the fact is that we don't know if this other woman was just as immature as he may have been. She might have been, and you know what? I'm done. Time out. I'm done.
And a lot of men were doing that back then too. A lot of men in the 70s were doing that. Oh yeah.
Just saying. So that we don't know. We're speculating Richard's reasons. We need to also be speculating what sort of pressures and faults that the other person had.
Well,
sometimes we don't want to hear that.
You make it uncomfortable. You make it.
I'm sorry.
You're making them queens have to give some kind of some kind of perspective on their attitudes.
Oh my
perspective.
She's shaking her head. Oh, wasn't nothing wrong with that woman. It was him.
Oh my God.
Oh no, there's nothing wrong with her.
And all honesty, yes. You know what I'm saying? Of course he have learned, from your mistakes, from your trials and errors. And that's what life is about. You don't want to be the same person you was 15 years ago. I mean, I wouldn't advise it,
Absolutely.
So of course, hopefully he did learn from his mistakes. I just wish I think one of the things I think he may have experienced, what I would hope all of us experience, is you have to do some self work. You have to be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
So you have to figure out what was your contribution to what failed, whether it was a relationship, whether, you know, was whatever it was, the situation was, figure out what role did you play in it, and then try to work on that. You got to do your self work if you want to be better. So I think he was a prime example of that. You know, whatever didn't work before, he used a different method, and he has international champions now. International champions.
I think, like Brother Bowles said, evidently, like the movie portrayed, I mean, he was near, 9 out of 10, if you will, on the scale. So whatever he was doing, like you say, the second go round, the third go round, whatever it was, kudos to whatever he learned. I wish I would like to know. I wish that there was a platform to show the Richard Williams full story, the growth of Richard Williams, where as far as what did he encounter during those first and or second, I forget which order they're in, but at least the first marriage, find out what that was that he had to go through, because again, that's a learning experience for all of us as men. Even as I reflect, as I always do, even in our house, I talk to my wife about this. There are things that I've, just like you said, grown from, that I went through in my first marriage. There are things that if I weren't married now, and there's always this second chance and all that, is that I would do things differently in that. In a different universe, I'm probably still married to my first wife because I learned and was wiser. But the point is that we always can look back and say, we would do it better next time. And I think that's what all of us, including myself, on this go round with my wife, or this go round with this kid. We literally went through that with our third child, because every child, matter of fact, Will Smith said this in his reflection of the movie and learning about Richard Williams and some of the things that he wanted to institute within his parenting because of what he learned that Richard Williams did. He did also. One in particular mode that he went into was more so like, if I look at it, every child gets a different version of us from a parenting standpoint. I thought that was very deep, because when you look at it, I mean, like that version of me, I wouldn't have done that. That version of me, that's what I should have done this time. So we look at our three kids here, is that, first child, oldest, daughter, she got like, oh, we want to be perfect parents version of us. And so everything was, what can we teach her? What can we do this? How do we protect her and all of that? So everything was really spelled out in a certain way with raising her. Our second was like, oh man, this is my man, my dude, this is my boy, so I want to make sure he's manly and on him, straighten up, so it's like you raise him differently. And so now we've got another boy, and I'm like, I already said before he was born, I'm not going to raise him in the same manner of like that, just overbearing manner that I did with my boy or middle child that we have. Is a different flow, because I've grown away from some of the things that I used that were a limited tool set that I referred to before with our second child. So we're doing things much different. So each child has a different version. And hopefully what they'll see over time is the improved version of father that will override a lot of what they saw in the beginning if it wasn't healthy for them. So I think that's kind of what we're seeing in this movie, is that maybe we're seeing a slither of the new and improved Richard Williams.
Okay, gentlemen. So I think all of us have a general unanimous consensus that we are not going to do any criticism of this movie, as there's none to be had, in my opinion. So with that being said, what was one of the most valuable or memorable things that you would take away from this movie?
Advocate for your kids. And we see that happening a lot, with our interviews here. We had Dr. Bell, I say Dr. Bell again, Brittany Bell on, and one of the things out of her book was, being an advocate for your kids. I think what this movie provides for us, especially as Black men, again, the title card that you saw is that why are Black men like this criticized? And we have to not be shy about being a Richard Williams for our daughters, a Richard Williams for our son. Step in front of the camera and say, no, what you're not going to do is question my daughter like this. She's a kid. And more importantly, she's a Black young woman. So we're not going to treat her like this. And that's sometimes I hate to use they because we got some allies and some people that, are on our side and I don't want to exclude them. But sometimes what we see is that they will question our kids as if this is odd. How do you have this much confidence? Where do you get that from? That's odd. And so no, it's not odd. That's how I'm raising her. And we don't need to mess with that. So we need to practice being advocates for our kids. And I think for me, that's what that movie really exemplified, was that he stood in daughters to be a shield, but he had, even with one of the more memorable parts towards the end where young Serena was standing at the empty Wimbledon Stadium when in the like the breezeway, and he was saying, hey, it's time to go or whatever, and he was like, you want some of that, don't you? And so it's like you realize that I did this all on purpose. I held you back on purpose because you're the dog in the fight. I see you want it hard. Venus is going to win Wimbledon, but you're going to be the greatest that ever played. And so he already knew what his kids were capable of. And I think that's what we got to do as parents and fathers specifically, is learn how we can actually coach our kids in different ways, because all of them have different strengths, but recognize how we can push them in a strategic manner while being advocates for them. Because even with the coaches that he had, he took over and said, no, they're not going to practice today because they're going to be kids. You're not going to burn them out. They're going to be kids. They go to church. They're going to go to the park. We're going to go to Disneyland, whatever it is. But they're not ready yet to do what you thought they were going to do out here. And so we have to really take the bull by the horns, and really advocate and be structurally minded with our kids, as Dr. Best even said earlier, that we got to put in structure and we got to be strategic, not just pushing them into sports and being about football just because.
Yeah, I'd have to agree, man. I think his level of advocacy was amazing, and something that we definitely don't see on a regular basis. Outside of the advocacy, I would just have to say the fact that he had a purpose for his family. I think we don't. Well, matter of fact, I know we don't see that a lot. We don't see a lot of men who actually can come to us and tell us, "Hey, I'm grooming you for this, and you're going to be that because I see this in you," and stuff like that. Now, I will say, and Brother Black can attest to this. We had some alpha men in our life. We didn't have just one. I think the Most High blessed us with about 5 or 6 men who came from different walks of life, but they all had that intensity. They all had that ability to look you in your eye as a man. But to have someone there, like you said, that can almost see the future or somewhat give you a glimpse of what your future will be. A lot of our children spend a lot of time trying to find themselves. But the fact that he had already made space for his children, I think that is important for us to take away from that movie, because every man should have a vision for his family. But then, like Dwayne was saying earlier, we have to know our children. We have to know how to deal with them on the level that they are, and we have to know how to pull the great things out of them. And so I think, to me, the fact that he had vision, he had a foresight for where his family would be, and he had it all down to the T. He followed the plan, and because he followed the plan and stuck with it, regardless of what he encountered, I think he got greater results than he thought he was going to get. So I think that's what I took away from it, to be more intentional about the specifics of the future of my children, and then on top of that, being more active in making sure that those intentions are met. I think I took that outside of the advocacy piece, having a real vision for your family. So yeah.
Well, some people use that method that you just described, Brother Bold. The terminology for that is manifestation, and it is something that people are practicing in now, manifestation. But I would have to say, from the movie, from a female's perspective, anyway, my takeaway did not necessarily come from him because he was portraying and is a very successful black father, but I had to come from the takeaway of his wife, Orsini. She was very supportive. She was on board, and that's what you have to be. Kids can't see parents going in two different directions. You know what I'm saying? And you think you're going to yield some success out of that as a parent. So, we have to, be a part of that vision, a part of that manifestation, and be supportive and play our role, in order for everything to work as it should work. So that was my takeaway: be supportive and try to gain, as a supportive partner or wife, try to gain an understanding of what that vision is and how do I perpetuate that vision that's in play. So that's my takeaway.
I think that's very valuable that you pointed that out, and I think it's very key that you came from a female perspective on that, because that's important. Obviously, for the fact that we've got several females, and if we can and be influential in that, to whomever may see this broadcast or this stream, yes, there are male perspectives that we're offering, but for the females that are watching, they need to hear just said is that whether you call it supportive, submissive, what did you say, cooperative, Brother Bold, whatever it is, like you just said, is that the family structure needs to be flowing in the same direction, with less resistance to it. And so even if it goes back to the vision that you said, Bold, and being supportive of that vision, and see it being executed. Now, I'm going to tell you that you probably not going to get a female to blindly follow when there's no residual action being taken with regards to that said vision. But the fact is that what you saw in the movie or the depiction of their story, and even with the live podcast of her even saying how supportive she was, was because of the action that Richard Williams took and successfully made her a believer. The final thing I would say, based on what you said, beautiful, is that everyone on the team had a role, and you highlighted that with the wife had a role. And sometimes, again, we in our black community, sometimes we shy away or put up the taboo fingers that, oh, role, how dare you say I got a role? No, but everyone, I mean, the quarterback has a role, the center has a role, the defensive end role, and sometimes these roles are not the limelight roles. Sometimes they're not, but they are very necessary. I'm gonna tell you right now, as a quarterback, let me try to drop back and my tackle isn't doing what he's supposed to do. My guard is not doing what he's supposed to do on my backside. He's not going to be the one that's in the newspaper, but he's the one that I'm thankful for. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, Bold, hell, you say you're doing a wham right, and your guard goes to sleep on you or gets trucked or just pancake. He's not going to be the one answering, to the newspaper why we lost. So I mean, everybody has a role that's necessary, and I think that we need to be very comfortable in our roles, and we need to be the best in that role for the sake of the vision, as you said earlier, the vision for the family.
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question. Beautiful. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Well, but I have a follow-up question,
Uh-oh.
because we mentioned that role, that we mentioned that word that has become taboo in our community, and that is gender roles.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'd have to ask the question. I mean, moving forward, since we have this modern this modern tag that we'll add on to ourselves: modern man, modern woman, modern husband, modern wife, whatever you want to use.
Progressive.
Um, yeah, progressive. How does that change the narrative? I mean, can we take the actual model of the Williams family and just pick it up and then put it right into 2021 and say that will be effective? even though it's considered very traditional and old school?
Yes,
That's a good question.
most definitely. You most definitely can, because the progressive or the modern woman will argue that, he was playing his role. Richard was playing his role. He was the protector. He
But
was the
Richard, but
leader.
Richard didn't have no money.
I'm sorry.
But Richard didn't have no money.
That's right.
That's
He
what's
no,
gonna hit your argument right there.
exactly.
No, but I'm listening. I just want to hear your perspective. I ain't trying to corner you or nothing. I just want to hear your perspective. That's all.
Exactly, and I've said that, in previous podcasts. Women would be a little bit more lenient to the fact that he doesn't have money, but the way he was moving and operating yielded results. You know what I'm saying? You can't drop the cookie cutter um, template of Richard Williams into a place where the dude is sitting on the couch playing Madden. You know what I'm saying, all day, and ask me, hey, can you hand me a drink out the fridge? But you ain't been nowhere. I've been working all day. No, you can't. No, if you ain't got no Richard Williams in the house, that ain't gonna work. I'm gonna tell you that right now. But if you have a Richard Williams in the house that's helping you, he's contributing to the household. He's helping you with the kids. You know what I'm saying? He is enforcing the no TV before homework kind of thing. He is in the fight with you. Yes, you can drop that template into any modern or progressive woman home. Matter of fact, we welcome a Richard Williams to come in and give us a hand and take a
Oh, put the brakes. Put the brakes
Okay.
on. Put the
Okay.
brakes
All right.
on.
So
Okay.
you're saying so this is what I'm gonna do. This is what I'm gonna do. I need because I want to make sure out of the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, let it be established. I
It
want to make
sounded
sure.
good.
Yeah, it sounded good, but I want to make sure that our sisters that are in the chat, I want to make sure they feel the same way. Or if you want to come on the show and help out our sister, because we about to burn her, so she might need some help. So if you want to come on and speak on behalf of the beautiful side, all of our females out there, all of our sisters, if you want to come on and be a part of the show
come on,
and help and help the queens out, we'll make sure we
no,
get
we are
that link
queens.
to you.
Don't
Help the
mess
queens
don't
out.
mess up our pronunciation of our roles. We are queens, okay? Yeah,
Because
come
I'm
on, talk
curious.
to me. Y'all know good well we not about to have no bums sitting on our sofa talking about we being submissive. We not having that.
Okay.
It's no size. I'm in agreement with Bold though, because the mass majority of what, especially you talk about South Central, you talk about the hood, you talk about South Side. There's a lot of individuals that just flock towards the brother that's slinging, that's making money, and you really don't see a whole lot of time of the day. We had this conversation before about the nice guy, the sacrificial guy, the guy that doesn't look like he's bringing in a whole lot. I would challenge that with, some of the seemingly immaturity of the two male and female counterparts. That, yeah, we all above 30, 35, and 40 now. Yeah, that sounds good. You're right. Yeah, based on what we know now, that's what you would choose. But I think that, some of our younger sisters are not choosing that way.
And the reason we come from this perspective. So sisters, I hope y'all are ready, because I see some comments. I know that Melanie asked us to clarify. She said this
Yeah.
is a lot at stake. So Melanie, if you would just let me know what it is you want us to actually clarify. I want to make sure I don't miss what it is you need clarification on. And Daphne said negative. And so I want to know exactly what that negative was about too. We don't want to overlook your comments. But while they're giving us a little more context, the reason we say that is because um, most of the women that describe the man they want is a 1% man. The question. Oh, she wants to know what the question was. Okay, all right. Well, my question was, given the classic model of gender roles that we saw in the movie, but that was like what, early '90s when they were going through that. And so if that be the case, can we just pick them up right out of Compton in the early '90s and bring them into 2021, and both of them having gender roles? Would that household still be productive given the same parameters, the same dynamics in the family? That's the question, because now in 2021, in 2020, 2021, gender roles has become a huge topic of discussion and contention between men and women, because there are a lot of women who actually fall under the modern woman, who believe that that old role of what women did is no longer is no longer effective or no longer required. When in fact, if you ask most men are still looking for women who hold on to that traditional gender role. So that was my question, because a lot of the women nowadays kind of speak badly of that. So I just want to
And I would even further that point to where what you're saying is, when you set the baseline of what you're trying to pick up and place into today's reality, you have to also paint the picture of the male counterpart, being Richard Williams in that case, that he really had a job that was a dead end job. It wasn't going to be progressive. So again, is that a standard that you're going to be comfortable with? He has a pretty outlandish vision. He wasn't highly educated.
Oh,
So
bro,
you really telling me that this is the type of guy that you were just ride or die blindly? What'd you say? I'm sorry. What'd you say? What was your word? Because it wasn't submissive,
cooperation.
cooperative. You would be
Yeah.
cooperative, and I don't see a lot of whole cooperation going on from a standard marriage or a
That's my
standard
man.
relationship. But you would be
I'm
cooperative with
65.
a lightly educated man, a dead end job, and this pie in the sky vision that he has. We need to make 2 more babies and basically produce superstar tennis players. Okay.
That's my man.
That's your man.
All right.
I'm gonna stick by him.
All right. So, all right. So Melanie said, okay. Well, Melanie said if they both want that, it can. I think that goes back to that new modern idea of the modern or the traditional gender roles is an option. So that's no longer actually a standard in marriage. I guess you can have a
Melanie has
partnership.
disqualified herself, by the way.
Oh Lord, let me keep going. That's so variable depending on the people and the relationship dynamics. Okay. Man, don't ask me no questions about relationships. I don't know. Look. All right,
Who
my
said
bad.
that?
Melody. But Jockey said that's not true. I'm cool with following. However, I need you to be confident in your vision and have a clear plan. Okay, cool. Let's take that. All right. So she says that she's cool with following as long as you have a vision and a clear plan.
That's what I said.
She did not say you had to have a certain amount of money, nor did she say that plan had to include eventually coming into a lot of money. Or, so you're telling me. So I just want to be clear. Again, I'm not trying to start, and I just want to be clear
Yes, you will.
because I hear so many different perspectives, and I just want to make sure, because it seems like every topic has 15 different safety nets. Like
No.
nothing can be held to a standard. Everything has a but. Well, it depends. It's like nothing can be held to a certain standard. Everything has to be depending upon the situation. So if we live our life like that, what's the purpose of having rules and standards? Because you can't drive down the street and say, "Well, I had the seatbelt. I had it right here in my hand. It wasn't on, but it was over there." And you supposed the cop supposed to say, "Oh, okay, well, cool. You had it halfway there, so you ain't quite have it snapped in. It wasn't gonna help you save you from that, but you had it on." I mean, that's kind of how the conversation goes a lot of the times. Where it depends.
I mean, the conversation goes that way because the gender roles is so vague. In the male's perspective,
it's not
yes,
vague.
it is. Yes, it
No,
is.
we made it vague because my grandmother knew what a gender role was. Your grandmother knew what a gender role was.
What about your grandfather?
Absolutely. He knew what it was. My grandmother did the stuff, and my grandfather cooked, and he helped clean. But my grandfather pastored 5 churches, and had 10 children, and had at least 2 or 3 jobs.
Now listen, go back to the beginning of that statement. You said your grandfather cooked, and your grandfather.
There are a lot of
Okay,
things that cook.
but you know what I'm saying? That's not a traditional gender role.
Yes, it
A
is.
traditional gender role, the woman does all that. Yeah.
Well, I put it that. Well,
So
I,
yeah,
I
I mean,
I put it
so
like
you're
this.
saying your grandfather really was progressive for his day, and that's all we're saying as women.
No, no,
You
no, no,
know,
no, no,
yes,
no,
that's what we're
no.
saying. If you can contribute to the household like Richard Williams did, he contributed to the household, maybe not financially, but he helped groom the kids, he helped with discipline, he helped with homework. You know what I'm saying? He helped for the better good of the family. But when you're talking about a man who does not contribute and he wants to come home and dictate, or maybe he's already home when you get home and he wants to dictate, no, we're not having that. We're not
Well,
doing
Hold
that.
on now, hold on. Richard Williams was a dictator. I mean,
yes,
I,
I'm
I
about
really
to say
didn't
that.
see his wife making a whole lot of the
He
decisions. I
was
mean,
no.
she actually sat quietly a lot of times, and you could see the frustration on her face. For
Now,
them to sit and watch Cinderella and then not be able to answer his questioning
mhm.
and say, "Are you going to watch this again?" She was already upset from that. You better go get my kids, and so he was about to drive off. And so there was a lot of frustration that I saw in the movie, and even to the point where they were in Florida, she finally spoke up and said, "You know, I'm not the one to go after because I've been with you the whole while. I'm
Right.
still blindly following you, but look, I'm ride or die here." And so I didn't see her necessarily up against a person that was not a dictator.
Well, you know, when you think about in terms of dictatorship has a selfish outgo. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Yes.
that's a lot of the criticism that Richard Williams took before this movie years before, because a lot of people saw that video that I showed about him interrupting the interview. He
Mhm.
looked like an ass because he's just basically just it was, and they even said in the movie, "You act like this is the Richard Williams show," and so it was from a selfish point of view.
Mhm. But my point is, as a dictator, you know what I'm saying? You're only you're taking out the element of the fact that he was building his children, building in turns building his family. You know what I'm saying? Not about building the Richard Williams kingdom. He was in it for in terms of his family, and that's what I mean that they were not
What's
a
the
part of
difference?
the dictatorship. He
There is no
he
difference.
he
I,
created.
I did have trouble with swallowing that one.
Of
Um,
course, of course, I do.
No, no.
No,
The
I
reason
mean
I
for
say
real though. I mean it was about self for him. It just happened to be that he knew more than everybody else.
that's
He
what
knew more
leadership is.
than the expert.
Leadership is it is a selfish endeavor, but it includes a group of people.
That's my point. It includes a group of people, then that group of people happen to be his family. We don't mind someone coming in being the king that he's supposed to be and telling us how to move as a family as long as the end result is going to benefit the family as a
You wouldn't
goal.
know that though. You wouldn't know that. And so what we're challenging as men is that a lot of times we get pushback even when we're bringing all of the attributes to the table and we have a vision, but we have pushback with being able to follow that because we are looked at as dictators. That happens a lot. And when I
Or
say that, I mean even go ahead.
I was just going to say, or have a toxic masculinity. I wanted to add that in because a lot of times our leadership, when it comes to that, we don't understand true leadership in our community because we look at true leadership as a Martin Luther King, someone who's a leader, but someone who's docile and nonviolent.
Right.
That's what our community accepts leadership as. Now we'll let our masters whip us all over, up and down for 400 and 500 years, but when it comes to us standing up for our family and being a man in our house, sometimes you're not going to say some stuff that your wife likes, but that's what leadership is. Most women want partnerships. They want to lead together. And that's where you have a lot of problems. That's where you have a lot of back and forth. Unless both of you all have that same type of behavioral, emotional behavior, or emotional intelligence, where the both of y'all could operate on that level and not feel offended or slighted. That's few and far between. A lot of times leadership is, I got this. No, I got this right here.
And
No, no.
I'm telling you that a woman will be cooperative and submissive to that as long as he truly does have that.
That's conditional. As
I
long
was about to
as
say,
he truly does, there is
Exactly.
no there's no listen. There's no definitive way to qualify that. as long as he truly does. Every man, if he's dictating a plan, he
There,
actually believes in that plan. But like I
there
said,
is
there's
some way.
pushback because there's this caveat that as long as you have a plan in mind, I will follow you. As long as you're able to be confident in that plan, Ms. Harris says, I will follow you, because a lot of people aren't truly confident in that plan or have a clear plan. But so what is it going to take? So for us to put together a black and white business plan together so that you can say that we have a clear plan?
No.
Because
When
who does
I
that?
think, and some of the viewers may chime in on this as well. When we say as long as you got it, we're following. As long as you're leading, we're following. You know what I'm saying? And it has very clear parameters. If the family is not evicted, if the family still has lights and water, you know,
That's the extremes. Come on now.
not
I
that's
mean,
still that's what we're
You're
saying.
always going to get the extreme. You're
no,
not
I
going to
mean,
get
we're
it
getting
wrong.
extreme
Oh,
now. We're
come
not
on
saying that
now.
we don't put you in a
That's
scenario
our
where we're
definition.
evicted.
No. That's umbrella under protection. That's umbrella under leadership. You know what I'm saying? If the woman does not have to worry about those things
Is
because
that part of the
the men
plan?
are my
But
help.
see, this is a big problem when it comes to those that are being led.
Hmm.
Is that when you are being led, it is not your total. You are not absolutely privy to every dot or every line of that mission. Sometimes you have to zip your lips and follow. Sometimes your fellowship is blind, but you believe in the abilities and the foresight and the wisdom of your man. But most of the time, that does not happen. We get questioned, we get grilled. We have to go through the what do they call it? The deposition. We got to give all of our facts, and we got to lay it all out. And this is A to Z, and then we got to tell you everything. That's problematic. And you can ask any leader that has ever built anything worthwhile. They did not start from the very beginning knowing the end. Some of that stuff they built on the way.
Right.
And in relationships and in marriages, you're not always going to have to. He's not always going to be able to give you every step.
No. And that's what that's the going back to the original question. You asked, would the template of Richard Williams work in a relationship and
I
a
don't think it
family?
would. I don't think it would because look at our statistics. Look at the data. I don't think it would.
Well,
Even now, an average man is not desirable for an average woman.
I'll give you another one based on true events still. So we're talking true events,
Thank you, Ty.
but
Y'all do
but
talk back
but
now.
but again, but again, talking about a great Will Smith movie. Let's go back to Pursuit of Happiness. What wasn't focused on was the child's mother, and I just say that cautiously because I don't know if they were married or not, and so I think they were married. But when you look at the child's mother, the boy's mother in that case, she didn't stick around for the greatness to happen. He had a dream, he had a vision. He was gonna sell those little medical devices. She didn't stick around for that, and he was a hustler for that, running up and down the city, catching buses and all that, to the point that where he would have, at some point he had to go homeless. She didn't stick around for that, and then to the point
But he
where
had a plan.
the inner spirit that he had, the plan that he had, that he laid that plan out, she didn't follow. And the
Or
point where he actually put himself in positions to be actually greater than he actually was about to be with the devices, or wanted to be with the devices, because his inner spirit and work ethic actually had something better for him in mind.
all right, so I want to ask this because I see two comments that they're actually very good points. Calvin Berry said, no, they jump ship if they think your plans are going to work until it does. When you're successful, then they want to come back. But no, boo, I'll take care of our kids, but you got to look at me from a distance. That happens. Pursuit of Happiness is a prime example. Trust me, when we give you all these stories, we ain't just talking out the top of our head. But then, Jar says, that's because she wasn't the right partner, which is true. But why is it that a lot of times men are pushed for committed monogamous relationships, and the woman's the one that usually jumps ship.
Well, Ms. Spencer's response to that, or when I say response, it actually goes in line as a response because the ship has a lot of holes we have to fill while you dream on. It's a lot of weigh in on. It's a lot to weigh in on.
Okay, I see. I just wanted to see the actual top. I wanted to see the actual, the real bottom of the situation, because I believe.
If we can give the woman an out to say that wasn't the right partner, being the woman wasn't the right
Oh, you
partner,
took the
then
words
how
out
is
of
it
my
that
mouth.
we can sit and point to the man and say there's a lot of holes in the ship and all, and we can't
That's
say that
right.
was the wrong partner you align with?
That's why he's my brother, because I was about to say the same thing.
It's funny, man.
Because you know why? Because you gentlemen stated in previous podcasts that it's the man that chooses the his partners.
No, it's the woman that chooses. I'm just saying. Again, I think you're referring to the statement that we say women control sex, men control relationships. Is that what you're talking about?
So it's
We're the ones going after the partner. So we're the aggressor in that case. We're the prey. You're the prey. You have to allow us to come in and select you. Now we own that timeline. We like Brother Bo was saying, is that we own the timeline of whether marriage happens or not. That's on
Right.
us.
Right.
So you chose wrong. Accept that.
So can we tell y'all the same thing when y'all get on social media and admit what a good man that all men dogs? Can we just tell y'all that? Because y'all gonna tell us, because whenever we said it, it's always, well, it's the women you dealing with. No, it ain't the women I'm dealing with. It's them other 10 or 15 guys in our friend circle that we talk about the same circumstances with different women.
Right on there.
I need a sister to come on and help. I need somebody to come on and help Sister Suzette. She needs y'all help. She needs y'all help right now.
They chiming in. You see my queens down there.
No. I want them to jump on. Oh, thank you, Ty. Thank you. All men aren't dogs, but they all have dog. Absolutely right. We are men.
Absolutely.
We're men.
They got tendencies.
Right.
Absolutely. We are men. Absolutely. Yes. Accept that. Yes. Yes.
None of the men on the show are disagreeing with that.
Okay, so Melly wants me to narrow down my statement. So I did. I thought. Was I broad?
Yes.
I
Thank
was
you.
broad.
All over the place. Yes. Mhm.
Okay. All right.
Sometimes
So
y'all gotta just keep up.
I just want to give some specifics. Okay, so when I talk in specifics, I want to make sure I get a specific answer. So if I'm going to be specific, I don't want to get, I can't speak for all women. I don't want to hear that. I want to hear a specific answer. Okay. But y'all don't accept that women have strong opinions now. Yes, but that doesn't mean that that's the overall disposition of women. That's just the new woman. Y'all want us to accept the new woman, but you want to accept the old traditional man. That ain't gonna work.
Can't put new wine in old wine.
There you go. All right, so I'll be more specific. Right? All right, so we were talking. We've actually covered a number of topics with this, but let me get specific for Melanie. So,
thank you, Melanie.
If I give you stats and data, because I know this is gonna hurt, because I don't give you the freedom to be a butterfly with this topic. I'm gonna keep you here. Stats and data. Here we go. We're talking. It seems as if we want to throw it on the man, right? But then you said, and I had a couple of people on here to say, as long as he has a clear plan and he sticks to the plan, then you all will stay. Correct? Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, are you saying that I can have a plan that doesn't have to be specifically tied to making more money, and you all will stay? That means if you met me and I was making $30,000, that was my highest earning potential.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't marry me and say, well, I can help him take him to the new level. I can build him and make him, and we can go get the bag together. No, baby, $30,000 is all I'm ever gonna make. And I got a plan for my family.
Mm-hmm.
That means that you will be just as excited to have that man making $30,000 that you gotta help support as a grown man.
Mm-hmm.
You will accept that and have no qualms about it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Most women would. The problem comes where that $30,000 man try to take advantage of this hard working, supportive
Whoa,
wife.
whoa. See, there go that color purple stuff. There go that
And she got to be out.
mystical
No,
talk.
that ain't color purple because the color purple woman would stick. The color purple woman would stick around. This new age woman, we ain't having that. No.
See, Melanie, you didn't give me a specific answer. You came back with that. Well, it depends. Or different strokes for different. No.
I'm gonna tell you straight up. Yes, we would cherish and love that 30K man. But the problem comes in where we don't brush them off, you know what I'm saying, made them look attractive and appealing. Now he out there, pulling his side chicks and all this stuff. No.
There you go again. Can we talk about the black man without having some kind of color purple trope at the end of it?
Okay, well then the short answer is yes. We would keep that 30K man. We would keep our original.
Ty says it only sounds good. Okay. Melody says you can't say either answer is going to be accurate because different strokes. All right. Calvin said every man might fall down, but we get it. That's true. And Jockey said that's because I make my own money. Okay. So at that particular point, it seems to me that if you want a guy that's making $30,000 or $40,000, or the average salary between $40,000 and $50,000 for a black man.
Mm-hmm.
So you're telling me if he's not making a lot of money,
mm-hmm.
you will then hold on to the fact that you're going to contribute to the family.
Yeah, I mean, you first of all, you're gonna establish that. You're gonna establish that from the beginning. You already know he a low paying man. I think women we look more for we marry for love and loyalty. Y'all, we're gonna put our feelings into it. Men marry for transactional usually. So
because that's what marriage is. It's a contract.
Yeah.
That's why you sign it. It's a contract. That's what
exactly. That must be established from the beginning, But a lot of women are not going to they're not going to sacrifice themselves and overwork themselves financially and still have to carry the bulk of the load. You know what I'm saying? You're the breadwinner, but he also wants you to come home and be that traditional role where you're going to be cooking and taking care of the kids and he's not involved. No, we not. You gotta be a contributor. You gotta be a contributor. You making 30K, man. You gotta be a contributor some kind of way.
That's what I'm saying. But when you give personal experiences or you give personal perspectives and then you look at the masses, it doesn't pan out. Because what is it? Over 50% of black men are single and childless. Over 50% of us don't have kids and aren't in a relationship. But when you start getting down into the weed of the details, there's only a small portion of men that are actually having these interactions with all these women, and those small number of men are higher earning men. So I hear you say that you would accept a $30,000 man, but the stats and the statistics say different, because a lot of the guys that are having children, with our women aren't necessarily high earning men. So the men that you're having children with are the $30,000 or less men, but then you're looking for the $100,000, $80,000 to $90,000 to $200,000 men to take care of the child. So that's why I was just asking, because if you look at just the whole dynamics, that's why I wanted to know, can we pick up that family and put them in the now? Because Ty already said we have to accept the fact that y'all talk back now. So I'm just saying, I'm just asking. I just ask questions. I don't have any.
I mean, your statistics just prove that the average person is with the average female is with the average man that's making 30 or something.
She's not. She's having babies by him, but she's not marrying him because 50% of black men are single and childless.
You guys just said the marriage commitment is on the male. So she wants. Do you think women want to have children with a man that she doesn't want to marry? You guys are not marrying
Wait a minute.
the baby mama.
Don't you say that. Don't you say that.
No,
No, you better backtrack. You better swallow that. Try that again.
The men are not marrying the baby mamas because what you guys just said, the commitment of marriage is on the male. So if there's a high 50%, as you say, of single males, that's because you guys are choosing not to commit to these women that you're having children with. Yeah.
That's that. No. That's not it. That's not it because you're not taking into account how many of the women are told they don't want children and they have the baby anyway.
Oh my God.
Oh. How many women are told I don't want no kids? I don't want no kids. I don't want, but they have a baby anyway.
Gentlemen, I am climbing out of this rabbit hole.
Oh, that's what I thought.
I am abandoning this rabbit hole. And I'm going to get back to the subject at hand. I think the Richard Williams movie was absolutely great. I think any woman would love this version in this movie of Richard Williams. I don't know about his previous versions, but this version, he was all right.
I agree. And for all the people in the chat, I'm y'all. I don't know if y'all know me, but I'm gonna push you. But that don't mean I hate you. That don't mean I'm trying to be mean. I'm just trying to take the conversation a little bit further. In areas where some of y'all scared to go or can't handle, I'll go there. Just a little bit. But Suzette she know I'm pulling the legs. She know I'm trying to see how far how deep of water she can swim in. That's all.
Well, I tell you what, these 2021 women have drawn the line in the sand. And if you guys are not coming up to
that's y'all thing.
Who's coaching
if the gentlemen in 2021 are not coming
up to the line, what's the
line? Yeah, we draw the line in the sand. Wow. That if men are not coming up to their end of the bargain, the women are out. Statistics shows that.
And that's why it seems that bro, you probably know a stat better than I do, but when it comes to interracial dating, that's why black men are crossing over more so than black women. And black women are usually the ones that are left alone. So this line you're drawing in the sand that you're proclaiming,
it only means
is it really helping?
It might not be beneficial in the end, but most women have adapted. Most women have adapted the mindset that they can do bad all by themselves. So it is problematic. For the remodeling and restructuring of the black family, yes, it is problematic. However, as statistics have shown, women are the ones who initiate the divorce because they're not going to accept anything less than what you agreed upon.
They're not going to hold that.
If women are initiating the divorces on mass average, if you will, I'm just throwing not quantifying figure out there, but if that's the logic, but then you're saying that women are not looking for the dollar, and most marriages, at least 50% of them, fail because of financial reasons. What role are you actually playing?
No.
That's why I ask questions, because I want to make sure, because they do a lot of this. When you start bringing out data, then they start humming and hollering. You can't handle the heat. And this all.
I'm just following along what you're saying. If that's the narrative, that women are filing for the divorce more, but the divorce rate is 50%, and most marriages fail because of financial reasons, going back to you all initiating the divorce, then are you really in it for the Richard Williams, or are you in it for the money, or were there financial reasons?
Now, according to
somebody help them. Somebody call in and help.
No. According to statistics, infidelity is the number one reason for divorce, not because of money issues. Infidelity and lack of commitment is the number one reason.
You talking about infidelity where men cheat at 28% and women cheat at 24%?
Which one?
We almost cheat at the same rate. That's what you're saying.
Which
But we both are big infidels.
Hey, I'm just giving you the numbers, bruh. Which one? Who takes the lead in that percentage?
We do. I mean, there are other reasons that we could bring up, but of course, I'll be reaching. But there are a number of other reasons of why that happens. That might not be something you want to hear, but yeah, coming from a man, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, we cheat. Yeah, we cheat more, according to those that admitted it. But we do know y'all cheat better. So I really think that statistic on y'all end is a very low count.
Don't try to skew the numbers now. Don't try to skew.
No, I'm just saying, I think. So you're going to say women don't cheat better? I bet you won't say you don't.
Do women cheat better? Women do everything better, so to say that. But I mean, that's what queens do. But women,
yep.
My final answer is get yourself. If you're gonna get a broke man, get you a Richard Williams. Otherwise, shoot.
Thank you, D.
All right, good luck, because there's only one in a million Richard Williams. And a lot of dudes with the so-called plan.
Right.
And I want to see how patient our women are going to be with this so-called plan, thinking that they're going to produce two Venus and Serena Williams because of this plan. Because remember, the plan that typically relationships are built on is a plan for that couple. His plan was sacrificial, that they're not going to necessarily, they're going to, make the kids superstars. And I don't see a whole lot of that working in the realm of I mean, I wouldn't even follow that. I can't follow that. I have to have a plan. My wife knows that. I mean, I'm not going to be able to lead just by, this pipe dream that I have for our daughter. I'm like, first of all, we need to be doing something too. What's the plan for our business? I mean, so I don't reality speaking, I don't think that flies a Richard Williams man today. Like Paul said, as he challenged that, are you able to pick up that Richard Williams model and place it in 2021? I think you got some challenges with that.
A lot of challenges, a lot, and that comes with you got to have some money. I mean, I know they the response is always it's always one of those situations, but y'all ain't following no broke man nowhere. It sounds good, but y'all ain't doing that. Y'all ain't doing that. Y'all tell me.
I mean, okay, so
it's not happening. Because if
all right,
you
so do we still have viewers on? Do we still have viewers?
Yeah.
I mean, pose that question. Would women accept a broke man?
Women, ladies, sisters.
Exactly. I think that's a very easy answer to make, but I'll wait. And I don't want this cliche, yeah, we will, but I really don't see that being coached.
I'll put it like this: a broke man with a plan, not to get rich, but to make his children wealthy. Money's not everything. Most dudes with money are. Those are guys that are on their purpose, and those are guys that have standards. I've been called that a couple times. But I was called that because I didn't let them do what they want to do. And I was called that because I had certain standards. That's why. But I mean, that's cool. I mean, I'll accept it. I'll definitely accept it. So John K says money is not everything. Any other sisters would actually marry a broke guy with a plan to make your children rich, not you? Controlling? No, absolutely not. I'm a benevolent dictator. You do what you want to do, but if you're gonna be with me, you got to do certain things. That same thing y'all do to us. All right, Calvin Bailey said, "I don't like men." You say, "I don't like men. I love beautiful queens."
That's good to know.
My sister said, "No." All right, so that's 1-1. That's 1-1. Because John K said money ain't everything. Ty said no.
We need a tiebreaker. We need a
Yeah,
tiebreaker.
we need a tiebreaker.
Hey, and as y'all are polling, you know, I'm sitting here just talking to my wife on the side. Is that really you got to look at it from a Richard Williams standpoint? Remember, this is Hollywood now. This is a movie, so they didn't get. They only have shown you the ages of Venus and Serena 14 and 9. I'm just throwing out a 9. I know it was 14 for Venus, but you're not seeing the first 14 years up to that point where it was no production or performance that you're seeing on film of all that time that he said, I'm building tennis stars and all that. They can't swing a racket when they're 2 and 3 years old, hardly. So again, that's a lot of time that we're saying that, oh, I want a Richard Williams type of guy, and you're not seeing any productivity out of that dream happening. So you mean to tell me that as you all ladies answer these questions, that you would take a Richard Williams guy with high potential, is that really going to satisfy you for X number of years into that plan, that clear plan that you demand? Oh, it's a clear plan, so I'll get behind it. But that plan is not going to manifest itself for multiple years.
Right.
Okay.
9 years, he said. He said it was 9 years. And on top of that, remember when she pulled him to the side, she threw it in his face that she worked doubles.
Yes. Thank you.
To pick up where he wasn't able to come in
Right,
with the
that
finance.
kitchen scene. Yep.
So
You're right.
she worked doubles, and she
Okay.
had
And he wasn't
additional
bringing it
kids.
in, right?
Right.
So you mean
And she waited 9 years. All right, Jarke said money is important. Yes, however, it's not everything. What are we doing if we're just focusing on money?
Right.
Well, we're saying that because what man are you going to accept if he doesn't make a certain amount of money? This goes back to the blueprint. I don't want no scrub. A scrub can't get no love from me.
That's what's getting preached to our young ones. So
And your passenger side, if your best friend's right, try to holler at me. You remember that?
Of course.
we forgot about that.
We can
No,
sing all this. Oh,
forget.
what? Huh? Beyonce said to the left, take all your stuff to the left, all that stuff. Independent.
Yeah. Yeah, of course we didn't forget. Those are the
All right.
songs
All right.
those are the songs we're singing as we're drawing the line in the sand. Hello.
Exactly. That line is
Maybe that line again.
That line is for you. But
Drawing
money
that
is
line, and
very
you're gonna be
fact-
alone on that other side of the line.
Okay, Daphne said, what is the question? Daphne, the question is, will you marry a broke man who has a plan to get your children rich, not you?
Specifically, a Richard Williams man.
That had 9 years of preparation from the time they were 5 years old to the time she was 14, selling this dream day in and day out, week in and week out, month in and month out for 9 years. She worked doubles. He had to work all night, but she worked most of the day. They had 5 kids in the house. He had other kids outside the house. He wasn't gonna make no more money because he didn't have any type of training, any type of education or nothing. But she married him. She stayed with him. She stuck with it. She was cooperative. I used the word. I didn't use the other bad word.
You can almost out. That is a unicorn situation. These women are lying. They were behind that. Because when you say from 5 to 14, 9 years of that, we are not even giving for the 5 years when the child was born, that the child couldn't do anything until he started training them full time. So you're talking about a full 14 years that you're saying that you will work doubles and all of this other stuff, and he's high potential, so I'm sticking with him. Yeah, right.
Ladies.
And I'm gonna draw this line in the sand.
Okay.
All right, draw your line.
Chime in. What is that famous line that young lady has coined?
You're right, unicorn.
Yeah, that young lady said, "That's my man." And I'm gonna stick by him.
Yeah, okay. Until when? Until when? So basically,
I've enjoyed this discussion, but I think going back to our blueprint, because we really went in on this in our relationship portion of our blueprint. You have to make sure you establish clear boundaries early in your relationship, even in the courting stage, and that will kind of help you. That will kind of help you determine if you're going to be able to hold out for 9 years of non-productive, financial productiveness or not. It just kind of depends on what boundaries are set at the beginning of the relationship.
So that doesn't even sound like y'all are willing to follow that.
I'm telling you, women are. I'm telling you, women are.
9 years, whatever.
I'm gonna, Dwayne. I'm gonna use one of their lines. It must be the women you know.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Because I can tell you right now, ain't nobody putting up 9 years times 365 days.
You're right.
Whatever.
Working doubles for 9 years for
Whatever.
something that might not even happen. All right.
Again, totally might not happen. Not even odds.
But
there
you
are people
have to
that are clearly
you
training
have
their
to
kids for
realize-
tennis every day.
Yes, but you also have to realize he was helping her raise these children. He was helping her raise these children. He was being
They
able
don't pay the
to
bills, Suzette.
Mm-mm.
No, he didn't pay the bills. That's what them doubles was for, paying the bills. But no, but he was helping her. It's a hard, burdensome ship if you're working doubles and then you have to come home and play a traditional role. He didn't help with homework. He's not grooming the kids. He's not establishing structure. He's not censoring what they watch on TV. If a woman has to do the whole shebang, of course she's not gonna.
I like what Ty just said, because we got to put this in perspective also. This is 2021. Once that thing hit the group chat, we done. Hooked our sister up on a blind date. That's exactly what would happen. Is that y'all ain't gonna put up with that after we double shifts for 2 months of double. Y'all gonna be like, girl, find me somebody, please. I need to sneak out.
I appreciate you. Thank you for being honest.
Yeah, beach is real. No, we're talking about no draw the line in the sand, and we could work with it. And 9 years to fly by. Yeah, right. Technology today, y'all be on a group chat.
That is funny. Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Girl, y'all
not
know y'all
not the group chat.
You got a group. You got somebody to group chat. You got at least 2 of your girls in the group chat.
Right.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen.
Y'all do have any other final comments?
All right, I'm tapping out on that one. I'm tapping out.
Oh yeah. We done come to the end. I think we had an opportunity to really jump in and have some fun with it. But yeah, man, you got any final comments? Beautiful before we hit Mr. Black.
No, I don't. I really, I'm really saddened by all the criticism that's coming in on this, because I think it's a perfect opportunity to shine a positive, bright light on the Black men that are really doing a great job raising their kids and being a very good partner in their relationships, and just really aspiring their kids to be and have much greater and better things that they had in their lives, and setting them up for success. So I really want to give kudos out to the whole project. I thought it was awesome, and I hope that it affects a lot of people, a lot of fathers, in a positive way.
All right, brother Black.
Yeah, a couple of things swirl through. I think, as I said earlier, that this movie really depicts the success of being an advocate for your child. In many ways, we can be that on any level, whether your child is being coached or whether your child is just going through a rough patch at school or whatever it is. But we have to see from this model that it's okay to step in front of the camera. It's okay to step in at school when your child needs a protector to be able to fight for that child's sanity, or so that their childhood is protected, their innocence is protected. I think that's a lot of the takeaway, that if you have not seen the movie, it's great to celebrate Venus and Serena, but that's not what this movie is about. If you look at it and look at it again and again and really watch how King Richard Williams moved throughout the movie and the mentality that he had, I think that's something that we need to celebrate, and that's what Will Smith and this project aim to do. And I think they hit it out the park. If it has anything to do with Oprah's comments, it's the best movie she's ever seen in her life. So hell, if you like Oprah, do what Oprah subscribed to do, and watch the movie and see that. I think it was a great model for us as parents, that model or type of parenting still has relevance today. Don't let anyone think or coach you to think that being a strong parent in various aspects of your child's growing up environment is a lost cause. But at the same time, be balanced. I think what was heavily highlighted throughout the movie, especially in that social workers scene that at the house, is that these kids are getting their education first, and they are also great athletes on the court. So, if anything that you didn't get out the movie to celebrate was one, Richard Williams being a parent, and two, that these were well-rounded kids. Obviously, the older kids are doing their thing, and I'm, not even gonna speak on the previous married kid that evidently is a flunky and is sensitive about her dad not being around. So that's just a different issue that she's gonna have to deal with. But as far as this evolution of Richard Williams, that this slice of his life is depicting fairly enough, Will Smith and the crew knocked it out the park.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I know with mine, I just, I think again, I celebrate them for making an amazing movie. Definitely will have my children watching it, so we can kind of go through it and glean and see what we can apply to our relationship and in their lives as well. Kudos to Will Smith for embodying a great person that kind of can speak to all generations when it comes to having purpose and knowing what it takes, to stick to the dream, to stick to the purpose, to stick to the plan, whether you're male or female. So I'm definitely in support of this film, and I definitely hope that it reaches a lot of families. I hope a lot of people get a chance to see it, and really walk away with some things that can add to their lives. So, again, Brother Richard, hats off to you for setting the standard and letting us know that pushing our daughters is possible to do great things. So, I can really appreciate that. But if that be all, I think it's our time. Get ready to roll up out of here. Am I right?
Yep. About that time.
Yeah.
All right, it's that time. Well, thank you, everybody that's logged on with us. Thank you so much for all of our family, all of our friends that commented. Excuse me, before we log off, I want to give both of you all your flowers while you're living. I think that both of you are absolutely dope people. Um, just the fact that all that you bring to the table, your own perspectives, your own little je ne sais quoi, your own little swag, their own intellect. I appreciate the both of y'all. Thank you so much. I wouldn't want to do this with any other group of people. You guys really make this Tuesday night special to me. So thank you so much for being a part of the show. And thank you for being yourselves. But I just wanted to give you all that. But also, it's that time again. We got to get up out of here. But make sure before you leave, press the like and the share button. And make sure you subscribe and hit that bell so you're notified when we get some more of this fire content coming your way on a weekly basis. Also, want to let you know that we are preparing for our men's show. Yes, men only. Yes, God. Thank you. Thank you so much. We get our own space. So it's coming this week. So I want all of our fellas, all of our brothers that are online, make sure you go ahead, make sure you subscribe, because we're going to have some topics speaking directly to men on another day during the week, so we can make sure we're hitting all of our guys. Yes, Jarkay, just for the men. But guess what?
Lemons, boy, they sucking on lemons right now. Boy.
Okay.
Hype
But, y'all,
face.
but if y'all act right, we may give the steering wheel over to the beautiful for her to talk just to the females on another day. So I don't know, but we're trying to make sure we kind of broaden this thing out so we can hit all demographics. But again, stay tuned. We got a lot planned for you. But it's that time. I got to get up out of here. I got to tell you what my good friend Charles Dickens says. Charles Dickens says, "No one is useless in this world who lightens the burdens of someone else. No one is useless in this world who lightens the burdens of another." I want to let y'all know that actually sharing of yourself is probably one of the most selfless things you could ever do for your life. If you're a person of faith, there's a scripture that says, what greater friend that we have that would lay down his life for someone else. We have to understand that being a helper to other people actually positions us to be helped at another time when we're in need. Volunteering your time, your money, or your energy helps others. It helps others but it doesn't just help others. It makes the world better.
Yep.
And it also makes you better. I looked at some studies, and studies indicate that the very act of giving back to the community boosts your happiness, boosts your health, and your sense of well-being. What better thing to do in a crazy pandemic than to give of yourself? So I have 10 things I want to share with you about what we consider the benefits of helping others. First, helping others makes you feel good. Number 2, it creates a sense of belonging. Number 3, it gives you a sense of purpose. Helping others gives you, number 4, it helps keep things in perspective, because helping others, especially those who are less fortunate than yourself, can help to put things in perspective and make you feel more positive about your own circumstances. My mom used to tell me, I better be happy about the food that I have to eat, because y'all all heard it. There's children in Africa that didn't have nothing to eat. Y'all heard it before. But number 5, helping others is contagious. Number 6, helping others can help you live longer. Number 7, it will give you a sense of renewal. Number 8, it'll boost your self-esteem. Number 9, it will create stronger friendships when you stop being so selfish. And number 10, a fool. I wonder whose life and whose load are you lightening? Or whose load are you helping to make that much lighter because you decided to be selfless? I want to challenge you all for the next 7 days, next 7 months, next 7 years of your life. I challenge you to give of yourself, because I'm reminded, I was taught a scripture as a little kid: give, and it shall be given back to you. But what you give out, you get exponentially in return, because it says, when you get it back, it'll be pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Help somebody, because you never know. Your blessing could be the moment you decided to help somebody else. I love you all. We love you here at the Black and Bold. We're going to see y'all again next Tuesday, same time, same place. Make sure you're there. Till then, peace, love, and light. We gone.